Hi you guys, and welcome to my channel. Before I get started, for those of you that are new, I am a divine feminine energy twin flame, and for those of you that have been with me, thank you. Thank you for all the comments, likes, and words of encouragement that you all give me and each other. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I've been guided to share my experience throughout my childhood, because now looking back, my guides have told me I had many signs, several signs that they want me to share now, because it's going to, I'm seeing the word activate something, activate. I don't know if that means, I'm getting that they may mean like, just bring a sense of awareness to your soul to kind of anchor some things with your higher self and your 3D self, I should say. So I'm hoping that some things may resonate with you all. And even if you did not experience what I did, of course, some things are very specific and everybody's journey is different. But even if you didn't experience the same things, they're saying some commonalities, some type of connection that you're going to feel. Okay, so I'm going to get started because I'm going to try not to make this a long video. So I'm going to start with the very first sign that I had in my childhood. And I was probably 7 years old. I grew up Baptist Christian, and I do remember being in Sunday school, and the teachers were talking about you know, heaven and where you go when you believe that Jesus died for your sins, and you will be saved and born again, and you know, you live the Christian life and you go to heaven when you die. And that young, I asked the question of, you know, well, what happens, and this may seem kind of weird, but just go with me, okay? You know, what happens when, let's say you're married, and if your husband dies and goes to heaven, you know, when you die and go to heaven, you get to be with them, right? And they just kind of looked at me like, kind of side-eye, I guess, like, okay, she's 7 and why she's asking this, but okay. So they kind of went with it and told me, you know, yes, you get to see all your loved ones in heaven, and you know, they said the age appropriate thing that a teacher would say in Sunday school to a 7-year-old without getting too deep into things. And then I then said something about, well, what if you marry another person, and you know, how does that work when you get in heaven? Like, because you're supposed to just have one, like the one. And they were kind of like, well, you know, there's an understanding in heaven and there's no jealousy, and, you know, just kind of like hurrying an answer to me so they can go on to another subject, because, you know, who wants to explain that in front of a group of 5 to 7-year-olds? But so anyway, all I kept thinking to myself that young was that there is one for me. Like, I just had this knowing that early on that there was just one for me. And now, you know, in college, I did take religious studies and kind of open myself up to knowing about past lives. And then I got my higher self knew that, yes, you've been here many times. You know, I've had several dreams of different time periods. And those were periods of times that I was actually there. So, you know, in Christianity, that was not at the forefront, at least when I was growing up. You know, you had that your one life now, and you live a just Christian life, and so forth and so on. And so that was more Buddhism and, you know, the other religions that believe in reincarnation, but was not expressed in Christianity when I was growing up in the church I grew up in. So that was my very first sign. I just think to myself, well, that's just going to be one for me. That's just going to be one. Okay, so that's that. Next thing, music. I love all types of music anyway, but there's something about songs that have chorus, or angelic sounding music. I'm just very drawn to, very drawn to it. And I just, you know, even today, even if I find that sound in different genres of music, I'm drawn to it. I just like it. So that's another connective thing. This is very cliche. So I played the harp for 11 years. I started in 3rd grade all the way up to my first year of college. Very hard instrument to play, but I loved it. I don't play now, but I could certainly, you know, you learn the core things where I do know how to play, but the instrument's very expensive, so I hope to have one day. But anyway, yeah, and you'll get the gist of when I say it's very cliche. I'll tell you guys about that in a second. But yeah, so I play the harp for that amount of time. Next thing for me is gifts of angels. So I got random gifts of angels from different people, mostly family. My ex-mother-in-law gave me some bookends that were angels. My mom would give me like an angel pendant, and I think, you know, I usually would think, okay, it's because I play the harp and they're just kind of, you know, associating that with, you know, me playing the harp. But my guides have told me no. And I'm thinking back at times where I got things like an angel on the card from a friend, or just random, you know, I say, you know, coworker, like things throughout my life. There was probably not always, but there was an angel associated with a gift sometimes. So yeah, that's that sign. Next thing, okay, so this one, okay, I wrote down there's something about you that other people sense. Something special. I've even had someone say specifically to me, you know, Krista, there's something about you. Now you all know my name. My name's Krista. But yeah, they'll say there's something about you that, you know, it just came, something special. And they're saying many of you all have gotten that, maybe not verbatim, some verbatim, some. There's just a sense of your charisma, there's just something about, like that movie, there's something about Mary, that's just something about, and put your name and fill your name in the blank. So doesn't mean you had to be the most popular person in school or anything like that. It was just, whether it be teachers or people in church, for those of you that grew up in church, as far as that church family, they're showing me sports coaches, you know, just people, some people had an awareness of something special about you. So there's that. Next thing. So this is something that's still occurring that they're telling me, but throughout childhood, it's also happened. And what happens is God and the divine team have the power of, for those that are connected with them, they can send words and feelings. They can guide people to say things to you that cross your path. They guide them to say things to you so that your soul can resonate with it, especially your higher self, they're telling me. So to kind of, to give you a sense of how special you are. I don't even know what examples I can give of that. I'm just trying to think. You know, like you may have that day where you're really down and someone just comes up to you and strikes up a conversation and they start giving you these compliments, just one after the other. And you're like, you know what? I needed that. Like, they just turn things around. That's just, and you know, necessarily you don't even have to be a twin flame to have experienced that. If you have a connection with God and angels and so forth and so on, you know, you are protected. They do that. They're saying we do that. But you know, getting back to the twin flames, you know, they still do that for us to help support us on our track to our reunions on the earth, like in 3D. And I say that because you all know we are already really in union in the 5D. But, you know, it's like encouragement. It's like they just pay attention to what people say to you. They actually use my son quite often. And I'll give you all an example. This is not really a childhood thing because this happened a few months ago when I was going through some inner child healing. And my son came up to me and he said, "Here, I want you to have this, Mommy. You can sleep with this one." He gave me a teddy bear, one of his teddy bears. And I was like, "You want me to sleep with your teddy bear?" He said, "Yeah, you sleep with him." And so my guys are telling me, "Yeah, we had your son do that because we're going to be doing some inner child healing for you. And that's going to be comforting to that aspect of your soul." And it was. And I did go through some healing with that. And I actually still have the teddy bear with me. So, hey, you know, embrace your inner child. Do something fun like that. Or, you know, it just helped. It helped me unknowingly. And they used my son to guide. They guided him to do that for me. And so I'm hearing that, you know, for those of you that have children, you may recall an instance where your child may have said something or done something. And you're kind of like, well, where did that come from? You know, just trust and know that they're being divinely guided to help you as well. So, next thing. Okay, a huge test of faith. My very huge test of faith, my very first one. And they're saying that, you know, we all have tests of faith, more than one. We just do. But my very first encounter, you all can recall a test of faith that is something you'll never forget. They're telling me you'll never forget it. Like, you can tell this story and you're like, you know what, I had this happen to me and it was mysterious and magical and bizarre, and you just know that, hey, it's just something divinely connected about it. So I'm going to try to get through this story and not prolong it. So this is my very first huge test of faith. When I was in Virginia, I worked at a hospital and I was actually in school for nursing. And I left work and I was waiting for the shuttle to go to the parking lot, you know, so I can go drive to school on campus. And as I was waiting for the shuttle to come, this lady came up to me. She looked very disheveled, you know, maybe homeless, sickly. And she said, you know, "Excuse me, but do you know where the Social Security building is and what time it closes?" And I know that it closed soon. So I was trying to explain to her how to get there, how to walk there from where we were. And she just seemed like a little confused and frustrated with what I was telling her. And she said, you know, "I'm trying to figure out." She just couldn't get the gist of what I was saying. And so I'm like impatiently looking at my watch. And I said, "Well, ma'am, I'm sorry, you know. It's the best I can tell you, you know, kind of thing." And the shuttle's coming around the corner. So I'm preparing myself to get on the shuttle. And she actually reaches out and touches me. And she said, "Listen," she said, "I know you're a child of God. And I just need some help. I need to know if you at least be willing to walk with me and show me where it is. Could you please do that?" You know, and I was like, you know, thinking to myself, but what struck me was when she said, "I know you're a child of God," and she actually reached out and touched my arm. And another thing she said, you guys, was that she's like, "I'm HIV positive. You know, I'm trying to work out my home situation. I'm just trying to figure things out and start my life over." And she said, "I just need some help." Well, it resonated with me where I know I couldn't get on the shuttle. I didn't get on. It came around. And by then I was like, okay, you guys can go ahead. I told the guy driving the shuttle. And I walked with her to the Social Security building. And we actually talked and laughed about a couple of things. She talked about, you know, what she liked about Richmond and what she didn't like. And we just kind of, you know, we just conversated along the way. And I had lost all track of time. And by the time we got to the building, it was closed. And so I said, "Well, they're closed. I'm sorry." She said, "Well, now I know how to get there. That's okay." So she walked back with me. And she said, thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much. And as we were walking back to the shuttle stop, the shuttle was actually coming down the street. So I got on the shuttle and she crossed the street behind the shuttle. And I sat down and I just turned around to see where she was, and I didn't see her. And my guys were saying that was your first test. Like, we needed to tap into you to make sure that connection was we had to spark something in you to make sure that connection was still prominent, they're saying. It's always there, but you all know your higher self is much more awakened and aware, and then you come into incarnate, as you know, on the earth. It's different. So anyway, and you know, at the hospital, a lot of people that are sickly, and in her case having HIV, you know, I would think I would have seen her again somewhere around the hospital campus. I never saw that lady again. And I think I even asked somebody about her and described her. Nobody knew what I was talking about. So there you go. That was my very first huge act of faith. I say huge because it's something I'll never forget. Next thing is pretty deep also. My father is deceased, and he was an alcoholic. He did drugs. He was absentee father, but the times that he was sober, you know, there were glimmers of my father that I really liked. And I had to have a reading, and I had to do healing with my father too, because there was a reptilian associated with my father that kept my father down in a low vibration. I know that now, but I also had a past life with my father as well. But anyway, I had to clear all and heal all that stuff. And so, well, let me get to what experience I had with my father. So I was probably about 9 years old, and my father came to me and he said, I want to show you something. And I was like, okay, you know. And he shows me this, you know, hand-drawn picture, and it was a face. It wasn't even really a whole body. It was just a face. And he said, this is you. This is a dream I had, and this is you. And I was like, okay, like looking at him strange, because it was a face. And I mean, you know, he was not the best artist, of course, but if he says it's me, it's me. Okay, it's me. And the person had a helmet on with a cross on the helmet. So my guys are telling me, or have told me now, yes, you were marked. That was your sign of you know, being what you are. You're a twin flame. So that marking, that cross, is like that seal, is what they're saying. So my father was the first one. Let me tell you, I was 9. I had absolutely no idea of what I was. Absolutely no idea. But he showed me that, and I just thought it was weird. And I was like, okay, Dad, you know, whatever. And my mom even knows about this to this day. And she's like, I even asked her, you know about that picture, Dad? She said, yeah, I remember that, you know. But anyway, so yeah, that was another sign through my father. They used my father because they knew my father was going to come to me and share that with me and draw that. And that's why they gave him that dream. So hindsight now, I do know that was a sign. Next thing, the last thing I wrote down was that I like the truth. So let me explain. And that may seem like such a general thing to say, you know, who doesn't like the truth? Well, let me just say, as a twin flame, the core of you is very uncomfortable with it. Like, I'm even uncomfortable with telling a white lie to some people. Doesn't mean that you can't do it, but there's the core of you is just uncomfortable with deceit, and they're showing me scales like justice kind of scales. So they're saying fairness. You like things to be fair and just, and you just deceit, you just can't deal with. You know, it's hard for me to like, I'm honest Abe, I gotta admit it. Now there's some things I may be quiet about if I know I can't be forthcoming and be totally honest with something, like depending on the situation. But I just prefer the truth. Like, no matter how much it hurt, just let's deal with the facts, the truth. So they're saying that the core of us is very uncomfortable with it. Just, you know, hard to lie. So anyway, well, that's all that I have as far as, you know, the signs that I experienced growing up. And I hope that, you know, maybe some of you have connected with some of those. You can share your own experiences, like I said. Any commonalities you can share. Feel free to comment, like, share your experience so other people can read, you know, because I know there's a lot of videos out there about signs and synchronicities and, you know, these 10 signs means you're a twin flame or you met your twin. This is just me honestly putting out my experiences, and that's what they want me to do, so that's what I did. And the very ending of this video, I want to tell you guys what you are. So what twin flames are earth angelics. That's what we are. We are earth angels incarnated in a human body. And so that would explain those types of connections that you all may feel. It explains a huge amount for me. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Feel free to comment. And you all take care. Lots of blessings, love, and light to you all.